Is Tom Cruise's highest grossing domestic debut ever about to be yanked out of theaters? If Shosh and Yuval Yoneh get what they asked for in a lawsuit, the answer may be yes. On Monday, the Yonehs filed suit in the Central District of California, asking the court to prevent, called enjoin, Paramount from distributing Top Gun Maverick in the United States. I don't think that's their real goal, but let's talk about it. Hi everybody, it's Harvard Lawyer Lee. Welcome to the channel where we talk about the intersection of law and life. I'm an attorney, but I don't represent anyone in the case, and nothing I say should be considered legal advice to anyone. Now, Shosh Yoneh is the widow of a man named Ehud Yoneh, and Yuval is Ehud's son. I may well have said all of these names wrong. My apologies. In their lawsuit, the Yonehs say that Ehud Yoneh wrote a story called Top Guns that was published back in 1983 in California Magazine. The Yonehs claim that Tom Cruise's mega hit, Top Gun Maverick, violates that copyright. The Yonehs say that Ehud's story is really similar to what happens in Top Gun and then in Top Gun Maverick. They say the story focused on a hotshot pilot who is going through aerial combat school. The hotshot pilot was named Yogi, and he had a radio intercept officer who was named Possum, and they were hammered together as a team. Ehud's story, according to the Yonehs, was a romanticized experience of what it was like to be a member of an elite Navy fighter squadron. Within weeks of the time that the story was published, the Yonehs say that Paramount bought an exclusive assignment of rights on May 18, 1983. Paramount even credited the story, they say, in the first Top Gun movie. In the lawsuit, the Yonehs say that Top Gun was derived straight from Ehud's story, and so is Top Gun Maverick. In fact, they attach an 18-page chart that outlines what they say are the similarities between Top Guns, the story by Ehud Yoneh, and Top Gun Maverick, the brand new Tom Cruise movie. But wait, if Paramount bought the rights back in 1983, doesn't that just end the matter? Did you just see that? So, as I was saying, if Paramount bought the rights back in 1983, doesn't that just end the matter? Why is this even relevant? Well, actually, the copyright law has a little-known provision that allows copyright holders to get their copyright back. It's not easy, and the copyright holder has to wait a really long time, 35 years in fact. The U.S. Copyright Office says the reason for that provision is to protect authors and their heirs against unremunerative agreements by giving them an opportunity to share in the later economic success of their works. In other words, the U.S. was trying to protect people who sold what turned out to be a very valuable copyright and got very little for it. But the law sets some pretty stringent rules around who can take back the copyright and how they can do it. For example, you have to give a written notice at least 2 years before the effective date that the copyright will expire. And you have to file the notice with the Copyright Office. The original grantee may even relicense during that negotiation period. And the law also has an exception. That's for anything that's already out there, called a prior derivative work, can be distributed just as it was before. So the Yonehs admit that the 1986 film Top Gun falls under that category. Paramount has full rights to that, and they have no right to any piece of that action. But they say the new movie, Top Gun Maverick, brand new thing, and they do have rights in that. The Yonehs say that they met all the requirements under the statute. They say that back on January 23rd, 2018, they sent written notice to Paramount, and then 6 days later, they filed with the Copyright Office. Now, as of January 24, 2020, they say they own the copyright to Top Gun. They say they are the sole owners, and that they warned Paramount about that, not only from the 2018 notice, but also when they asked Paramount to stop violating the copyright on May 11th of this year, 2022. Paramount has not answered the complaint yet, so we don't really know the full story about what they're going to argue. But we do have a clue. According to the Yonehs, when they sent the cease and desist letter on May 13, 2022, Paramount sent them a letter back. And there were two claims in that letter. First, Paramount denied that Top Gun Maverick was what's called derivative of Ehud's story. They say brand new work, totally different, separate. It's not derived from, it's not coming from that story that Ehud wrote back in 1983. They also said that the 2022 sequel was sufficiently completed before the reversion of the copyright happened. In other words, they're saying that the movie was basically overdone in the can even before a copyright possibly reverted. In that case, it would be a prior work under the exception to the copyright law, so Paramount would still be allowed to distribute the movie. Is that true? We don't know yet. Discovery, it will be all about that. That's exactly what the parties will be talking about. One thing we do know is that according to social media sources, the cast wrapped up filming in June 2019, which would be before the Yoneys have any claim to it. But then the release of the film was delayed substantially, a very long period, because of the C word. And then even after that. So there was something that happened during that 2-year period. In their lawsuit, the Yoneys addressed both those arguments in anticipating them coming from Paramount. They attached that 18-page document comparing the story and the film that I mentioned earlier. Then they also say that they believe and understand that the movie wasn't completed until May 8th, 2021, which was after they already had the copyright. In fact, more than a year after they already had the copyright. From that little snippet of information, we can guess what the two big issues in the case are going to be. Whether Top Gun Maverick was derived from Ehud's story, and when exactly the movie was completed. Now let's get to what the Yoneys are asking the court to do. The first thing they're asking for is a declaratory judgment. That says, court, we want you to decide and declare that Maverick comes straight from Ehud Yoneh's story. We want you to do that. And here's the big one, they want the court to decide that Paramount doesn't have the right to distribute Maverick or any other derivative work in the United States. The second thing they ask for is a count for copyright infringement. They say they want a preliminary injunction, a permanent injunction that would keep Paramount from distributing the movie or any further works from Top Gun, and they want damages that came from what Paramount did, specifically Paramount's profits. The third thing they ask for is injunctive relief. They say, we want you to keep Paramount from distributing this movie during the action, right now, in other words, and permanently after this lawsuit is over. So do the Yoneys really want Maverick pulled out of theaters? The complaint asks for that, but do the Yoneys really want that? My guess would be, and it's purely a guess, is that the Yoneys would not really want that to happen. It just wouldn't make any sense. Paramount is far better equipped to sell and promote the movie than the Yoneys would ever be, because that's Paramount's business. So they would be better off letting Paramount run with the movie and then collecting a piece of the action afterwards. If the Yoneys had really wanted the movie pulled, I would suspect what they would have asked for was an emergency temporary injunction. Those are hard to get, I'll say that. They are hard to get because the other side has so little notice, so courts are reluctant to jump in and interfere with what's happening presently when the other side has almost no or no notice. But here the Yoneys didn't even ask for that. They didn't get rejected, they just didn't ask for it. Also, in at least one of the counts, the Yoneys asked for an injunction that would prevent Paramount from infringing on their story without a new license from the Yoneys. I read that as a request to negotiate, to settle. We'll see. But meanwhile, I will say, I think I'm going to go see Top Gun Maverick this weekend, just in case. I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to like and subscribe and come back for more.